by Oliver Arkenstall Jones, right? He did the cover. So anyway, Horror Fang, right? I started giving it a little review last night. Yeah, so I really went through it a little bit more deeply today. Watched all the extras, and boy, is this a good story, right? It's such a great story, written on the fly by Terrence Dicks, right? But there's so many little moments. Again, I was talking about it last night, and I guess I'll reiterate. I was going to edit the two things out. I'll just reiterate instead that it's a very non-showy bit of Doctor Who. It's a very it doesn't need to feel the need to show itself off, right? It's just excellent, right? It's just sublimely excellent in pretty much everything it does, because it's made in a minimalist way by people really good at their jobs at the height of their powers. Tom Baker included, right? So Tom Baker plays most of this. He's got several motivations going on at once. First, he's trying to deal with the people in the lighthouse crew, right? And make sure nobody gets killed, which he fails totally. Everybody dies. Everybody dies at this in this story. I mean, other than Doctor and Leela, right? Literally everybody ends up dead. Which is a bit weird. And so you had, but you have a mode where he's very naturally authoritative, which is what he's very good at being. And then he's got that childlike curiosity. But then also you see him when he's thinking to himself a lot, or Doctor, what are you doing? Shh, I'm thinking, right? And he's weighing up possibilities because he doesn't know what the enemy is. He's not Rutan. In fact, I don't think he. So that he didn't know it was a Rutan until he revealed himself as a Rutan. I thought was a very, very nice touch. I really did, and it's so juxtaposes Doctor Who of today, where he's got to be him is best as knowing everything ever. It's just annoying, right? I mean, honestly, what made Doctor Who better than Star Trek was that in Star Trek, on the Starship Enterprise, everyone was the top of their class in Starfleet, right? They're all the best of the best of the best, right? Whereas Doctor Who, he sloped by with a lower second, right? He didn't get great marks at school, and it didn't really matter, right? Tom Baker doesn't seem to be he's out to be impressing anyone. Shooting Gatwell, from what I've seen so far, looks like he's very much trying to impress himself. Yeah, that was I think a very unconscious piece of complete wisdom, right? Gatwood seems to be very into being, I'm the bestest ever, right? And noisy. Well, this Tom Baker is just a quietly, completely authoritative, self-assured performance, right? With an interesting script that they knocked up very quickly. I mean, it was Terrence Dicks. They were doing State of Decay, which I imagine would have been better if they did it in season 15. I think by the time they got around to making it, it wasn't. It was weaker than it would have been, right? So, they called the Vampire Museum. So, who was it? They said. I think the script editor, I can't remember who it was, on the making of, he said, do you know anything about lighthouses? We want to do something set in a lighthouse. All right. So go and get yourself a boy's book of lighthouses and learn about it. So that's a very clever way, Terrence Dicks. So he says it's a very clever way of learning about stuff very quickly. I guess it's what you did pre-Wikipedia. Let me see. Horror of Fang Rock. Who was the script editor then? Because it wasn't it still was Robert Holmes, right? He hadn't left yet. That's interesting. When did Robert Holmes leave a script editor, do you think? Was it Invisible Enemy? Was he gone by then? No, wow, was he script editor all of season 15? I'm really surprised. I didn't realize that. Yeah. Sunmakers. Yeah, obviously, I guess it's one of his scripts. So yeah, script editor, Underworld. Is he still script editor? No, script editor. Oh, fine. So in some makers, he hands over to Anthony Reed, and man, isn't some makers like an interesting straddle between Anthony Reed, right, Doctor Who, and Robert Holmes. Wow, it's really noticeable. And then you had Underworld and the Invasion of Time. Man. So, okay, it makes a lot of sense then. Yeah, that the script editor, who was Robert Holmes, wanted to do something about, for some reason, set in a lighthouse. And he told terrorists to go and get himself a big book of lighthouses, like Big Boy's Book of Lighthouses. And he says, very good, yeah, you learn everything you need to learn about lighthouses from it. So, and then it's quite simple. You have like a trap bunch of people, and then you add in another crew cast, and you mash them together, and as they get killed one by one. It's really a classic horror movie, right? As this menacing alien who you can't really see looks like a beach ball, except when now they've redone the special effects. I don't know. A lot of me likes the original a bit better, right? I wish they retained more of a look of the original for the new effects of the root. And it's still, he's too defined he's too defined and too much of a defined little blobby like octopus, floating octopus. But listen, it's still a lot better. Anyway, so the basic story is, you have a lighthouse crew. They see a crashed the young one in the crew who was very good. He was playing 18, but he was 32. Sees a light crash under the sea. Much better with the new effects, I have to say. And then they start getting menaced by this strange green blobby light. Right. At the same time, the Doctor shows up. TARDIS is somewhat dragged, of course, by some temporal, whatever it is, and he starts. He said, "Let's go and ask for directions." He goes to the White House, the lighthouse, right, and gets embroiled. Right, he finds a mystery ongoing, and he's like, "You see," and again, a great performance by Tom Baker as you see him thinking. Right, it really is. You see him thinking like, "This shouldn't happen." Right, and as there's been a death, and he starts to take control. At which point a yacht crashes into the rocks. Look, that looks terrible in the original effects. The new effects looks way better for that. And you get this whole other cast of characters. You have like this dastardly wealthy lord who has no morals, and you have an older aristocrat who's being blackmailed by him, and the secretary of the bad guy. And so there's that whole mystery then woven into it. At the same time, the older of the three lighthouse caretakers, you have the young kid, you have like the one in charge, the one who's the engineer, who knows how to use the electric generator for the light, and you have the older one who doesn't like this new electricity, right? So the older one ends up being killed and replaced by a shape-shifted version of him, and his performance is great as well, right? Because it's firstly he's very like zombie-like, but then as he starts to like pick people up, like we get more used to being human, he has this really great, awful, serial killer smile. So that is just excellent, right? Needless to say, the upscale is beautiful. Oh my God, does this look great on 1080p? Right, it's gorgeous, right? Gorgeous, much like Louise Jameson, who looks so freaking stunning in her outfit, right? I don't know what it is that is so stunning, but she looks, oh my God. So yeah, listen, on just the strength of the story alone, obviously it's a huge recommend. But let's go through the extras, right? The extras they did a making of, so I guess they didn't do a making of in the original one. Updated effects. So we spoke about the updated effects yesterday. I I don't know. Like, do I? Yeah, I mean, obviously they're much more watchable. I like this. There's a spaceship at the end that's better. The trouble is there are some shots of the Rutan in the original, which is just like pulls you out of it, right? Which it actually becomes very apparent when you're watching behind the sofa, the watch along thing that you have of you have three different groups watching it simultaneously. Weird groups this time. Colin Baker, Janet Fielding, and Sarah Sutton, group number one. An inoffensive combination, actually, kind of works. Then you got was it Pennant Roberts' wife and Toby Adoki and Louise Jameson. That's group number two. And the best group is Matthew Waterhouse and Katie Manning, right? So they all say, "Oh, the special effects are awful." But then watching you commit the new ones, you kind of long for it, right? But then the new effects are all what I would say very, very good, right? Very good. Anyway, so yeah, you have the behind the sofa, which is something I always enjoy. You have a making of. This was a brand new one made for us. You know how you can tell these making ofs are new? Because it's tons and tons of drone photography of whatever location they found, right? This location is really weird because Horror Fang Rock is very famously all shot on set. And it really showed you like the pinnacle of what the BBC could do, right? Because it doesn't feel that way at all. Yeah, so it's all shot on set. So what they did, they went to a lighthouse that they didn't go to in the 70s, in 77. Weird. But it wasn't even like a real lighthouse-looking lighthouse. It was like this little lighthouse on top of a cliff. But then it turns out that they both sleep there. It's a little hotel or a guest house or something where they both sleep that night, and and they do a lot of their reminiscing from the lighthouse, the light room, which kind of reflects it. And then in the distance, you actually see a lighthouse that looks like the lighthouse on Horror Fang Rock. You're like, I don't get it, right? I don't get it. So it was an okay making of. I found it a bit dull. I had to work to not fall asleep a couple of times. Terrence Dick documentary, that was excellent. That's from, I believe that's pulled over from the DVD, right? As is the Paddy Russell interview, which is kind of like extended bits from the I think old interviews. I'm not sure where it's from. Charles Continuous says, I can always like that. Denny Fisher's toy advert, that's great. Oh, I love that when they the toy advert for was it for the awful toys they put out, right? The absolutely awful toys. So yeah, look, I mean, on the strength of disc number one, super recommend, right? Super recommend. Moving on to disc number two, which will be Invisible Enemy. Once I get up to Image Offender, I got to watch Type Fordy's review of it with Stephen Noonan, right? And then Starry-Eyed Girl says she wants to come on and do the review. She's lots to talk about. I'm like, well, okay then, right? Okay then. You're welcome to join us. Also on to join us, Britney Spears. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.